My wife looked our daughter in the eyes and said, "Michael isn't your real father. I had an affair before you were born." Emma believed her, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start 3 hours earlier when I still thought I had a marriage worth saving. It was 11:17 p.m. on a Thursday. I remember because I'd been staring at the kitchen clock, waiting for Sarah to come home from her book club. She'd been going every Thursday for the past year and a half. Always came home smelling like wine and making excuses about traffic. Her phone sat on the kitchen counter. She'd forgotten it. Sarah never forgot her phone. I wasn't the kind of husband who went through his wife's messages. 30 years old, married for 15 years, and I'd never once checked her phone. I trusted her. I loved her. I thought that meant something. But when the screen lit up with a text notification at 11:23 p.m., I saw the preview. Just 3 words from a contact saved as D. Room 614. Hurry. My hand moved before my brain caught up. One swipe. No passcode. She'd removed it 6 months ago, said she wanted to be more open with me. The messages loaded. I scrolled up. The messages went back 18 months. Not book club. Never book club. The Marriott downtown every Thursday, sometimes Tuesdays. Once on our anniversary when she'd said she was visiting her sister. Room numbers, times. Miss you already. Can't wait to taste you again. He suspects nothing. He, me. I was he. My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the phone. The kitchen felt too bright, too sharp. I could hear the refrigerator humming, the clock ticking, my own heartbeat in my ears like a drum. Upstairs, Emma's light was still on. She was 14, probably doing homework or watching videos with her headphones in, safe, innocent, unaware that in the next few hours, her entire world would shatter. I took screenshots, 23 of them, sent them to my email, deleted the sent messages from Sarah's phone, put it back exactly where she'd left it. Then I sat at the kitchen table and waited. Sarah came home at 11:52 p.m. Her hair was slightly messed up, lipstick gone. She had that glow people get after sex, the one I used to know from our early years. "Hey, babe," she said, dropping her purse on the counter. "Book club ran late. You know how Laura gets when she's had wine." I looked at her, really looked. Brown hair she'd just highlighted last week. Had that been for him? The dress she'd said was for a work presentation. Had she worn it to room 114? Her wedding ring, still on her finger, catching the kitchen light. "How was the book?" I asked. She froze for just a second, just 1 second, but I saw it. It was good, really good. We're reading that new thriller everyone's talking about." "Which one?" "You know," she waved her hand vaguely. "I can never remember the titles." "I'm exhausted, honey. Coming to bed?" I stood up. "Sarah, I need to ask you something." Her eyes flicked to her phone on the counter, then back to me. "Okay. Are you having an affair?" The color drained from her face, not gradually, all at once, like someone had opened a valve. "What? No, Michael, why would you—" "I saw your phone." She grabbed it, unlocked it, started scrolling frantically, looking for what I'd seen, looking for what I'd done. "You went through my phone?" "Answer the question." "You had no right." "Sarah, answer the question." She stopped scrolling, looked at me, and I saw the exact moment she decided to stop lying. "Yes," she said, quiet, flat, like she was telling me we were out of milk. "Yes, I'm having an affair." The floor didn't open up. The walls didn't collapse. The world just kept turning, indifferent to the fact that mine had just ended. "How long?" "Does it matter?" "How long?" 18 months. I knew I had to confront her tonight. I didn't know she'd prepared for this. "Who is he?" "David, from work, the district manager." David, 45 years old, married, 3 kids. I'd met him at the company Christmas party. He'd shaken my hand and complimented my tie. "I want a divorce," I said. That's when her face changed. The resignation disappeared. Something harder took its place. Fine, she said. Fine. You want to throw away 15 years because I made a mistake? Because I found someone who actually listens to me? 18 months isn't a mistake, Sarah. It's a choice. 18 months of choices. She started pacing, back and forth across the kitchen. I recognized this. It was her fight or flight response. She always paced when she felt cornered. You don't understand what it's like, she said, being married to someone who's never here, who works 50-hour weeks and comes home too tired to even talk. I was lonely, Michael. I work 50-hour weeks to pay for this house, for Emma's private school, for your car. Oh, so I should be grateful? I should just accept a husband who treats me like a roommate. I treated you like my wife. I trusted you. Trust. She laughed, actually laughed. You want to talk about trust? You went through my phone. After 18 months of you screwing another man. The words hung in the air between us. Ugly. True. Upstairs, a door opened, footsteps on the stairs. Mom? Dad? Emma's voice sleepy and confused. Why are you yelling? Sarah's eyes went wide. We both turned to see Emma standing in the kitchen doorway in her pajamas. The blue ones with little stars, the ones I'd bought her for her birthday last year. Her dark hair was tangled, eyes blurry without her contacts. Everything's fine, sweetheart, Sarah said quickly. Just a grown-up conversation. Go back to bed. You're not fine, Emma said. She was 14, not stupid. What's going on? I looked at Sarah. She looked at me. This wasn't how this was supposed to happen. We were supposed to sit Emma down, together, calmly. Explain that sometimes parents grow apart, but they both still love her very much. All the things the parenting books say you're supposed to do. Your mother and I are getting a divorce, I said. Michael, Sarah hissed. She deserves to know. Emma's face crumpled. What? No, you can't. You're my parents. You don't get divorced. I'm sorry, Emma. My voice cracked. I'm so sorry, but your mom? I had an affair, Sarah said, fast, cutting me off. I met someone else, and I had an affair, and your dad found out, and now he's leaving us. Sarah, don't... What? Emma looked between us. Mom, you... With who? It doesn't matter who. What matters is your dad is making me pack my things and leave tonight. He's kicking me out. That's not... I didn't say tonight. Sarah, stop. But she was already moving, grabbed her suitcase from the hall closet, started for the stairs. I'll pack some things and go to a hotel, since apparently I'm not wanted here anymore. Emma started crying, actual tears streaming down her face. Dad, don't make Mom leave. Please, we can fix this. We can... I pulled out my phone, hit record. I didn't plan it. Some instinct just told me to document this. Everything. Sarah, you don't have to leave tonight, I said, voice level. We can figure out a plan. We can do this like adults. She stopped on the third stair, turned around, and I saw something in her face I'd never seen before. Something cold and calculating. Then Sarah looked at Emma and said the words that ended everything. Emma, honey, there's something you need to know. Sarah, don't... Michael isn't your real father. The world stopped. Emma's crying stopped. My breathing stopped. Time itself seemed to pause, waiting to see if Sarah would take it back, waiting to see if this was real. What? Emma's voice was barely a whisper. I had an affair before you were born, 13 years ago, with someone I loved. You need to know the truth. My phone was still recording. I could feel it in my hand, slightly warm. Evidence, proof. But proof of what? That my wife was cruel? That she'd weaponize our daughter to hurt me? No, I said. Emma, that's not true. She's lying. I'm not lying, Sarah said. She came back down the stairs, walked to Emma, cupped her face. Baby, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way, but you deserve to know the truth. Michael isn't your biological father. Emma pulled away from her. looked at me, her eyes, dark blue. My eyes, everyone always said she had my eyes, were huge and desperate. Dad, the word broke me. She's lying, sweetheart. I am your father. I've been your father since the moment you were born, since before you were born. Then prove it, Sarah said. I couldn't, not right now. Not in this kitchen at midnight with my daughter falling apart in front of me. I pulled out my wallet. Inside, in the photo slot behind my credit cards, was the hospital bracelet from the day Emma was born. I'd kept it for 14 years. Pink plastic, faded now. Baby girl Carter, 5/15/2011, 7 Labs 30Z. Her tiny footprint in smudged purple ink on the back. I held it out to Emma. Look at this. This is from when you were born. I was there. I cut your umbilical cord. I held you for 3 hours straight while your mom slept. You had my eyes even then. Emma wouldn't take it, wouldn't even look at it. Maybe you didn't know, she whispered. Maybe Mom didn't tell you. Emma, blood doesn't lie, sweetheart. I'm still your dad. Are you? She was crying harder now. How do I know? How do I know anything anymore? Sarah put an arm around Emma's shoulders, protective, like I was the threat. We can get a DNA test if you want, Sarah said softly. But I think you deserve to know the truth now, not wait for some test. I'm sorry I kept this from you. I thought it would be easier if you didn't know. You're lying, I said again, desperate now. Sarah, stop this. This is between us. Leave Emma out of it. She has a right to know who her real father is. I am her real father, I was yelling now. Couldn't help it. Emma flinched. Don't yell at Mom, she said. That's when I knew I'd lost, at least for tonight, maybe forever. Emma ran to her room. She didn't call me Dad when she left. I stood in the kitchen, hospital bracelet still in my hand, phone still recording in my other hand. Sarah stood 3 feet away, face unreadable. Why? I asked. Why would you do that? Because you're not taking everything from me, she said quietly. You're not getting the house and the money and Emma. If I'm losing my marriage, you're losing something too. Then she went upstairs. To comfort our daughter, to tell her more lies, probably. To paint me as the villain who went through her phone and destroyed the family. I stopped the recording. 18 minutes, 47 seconds. I stood in the kitchen until 2 a.m. Then I started packing. Grace answered on the first ring, even though it was 6:30 a.m. on a Friday. Michael, what's wrong? My older sister, 48 years old, divorced herself 5 years ago, knew the sound of family crisis in someone's voice. Can I stay with you for a while? Of course. What happened? I told her everything. The affair, the divorce, the paternity lie. All of it, sitting in my car in my own driveway because I couldn't go back inside. Because Emma's bedroom light had been on all night, and I knew if I knocked, she wouldn't answer. Jesus Christ, Grace said when I finished. Michael, you know she's lying, right? Emma is your daughter. She looks exactly like you. Everyone says so. I know. Then why did Sarah say that? To hurt me. To keep Emma on her side during the divorce. Grace was quiet for a moment. You need a lawyer, like today, and you need to get a DNA test ordered. Emma won't even look at me, Grace. How am I supposed to? Court ordered. Let the judge make her do it. But Michael, you need evidence. Everything. Screenshots, recordings, anything that shows Sarah is lying. I have recordings from last night. She said it on tape. Good. That's good. Bring everything to my house. We'll figure this out. I pulled away from my house at 7:15 a.m. Emma was at the window, watching. I raised my hand to wave. She closed the curtain. Grace's house was 40 minutes away, in a quieter neighborhood, smaller. She'd downsized after her divorce. I pulled into her driveway with 3 suitcases, 2 boxes of paperwork, and my laptop. She met me at the door with coffee and a hug that lasted longer than usual. You look like hell, she said. I feel like hell. We sat at her kitchen table, smaller than mine, IKEA, instead of the expensive set Sarah had insisted on. I showed her the screenshots, played her the recording, watched her face go through shock, anger, and finally cold fury. She weaponized your child, Grace said. Michael, that's unforgivable. Tell me I'm not crazy. Tell me Emma is my daughter. You're not crazy. Emma is absolutely your daughter. She has your nose, your eyes, your terrible sense of humor. Biology doesn't lie. That's what I told her. Blood doesn't lie, but Sarah was so convincing. What if Emma believes her? Grace grabbed my hand across the table. Then we prove it, legally, scientifically. We get the DNA test and we prove Sarah is a liar. And if I'm wrong? She looked at me hard. Do you know for certain she's lying? I thought about the day Emma was born, 3:47 a.m., May 15th, 2011. Sarah's labor had been 22 hours. I'd held her hand through all of it, and when Emma finally came, purple and screaming and perfect, the nurse had put her in my arms and said, "She looks just like you, Dad." Sarah had been exhausted but smiling. She does, doesn't she? She has your eyes. We'd stayed in the hospital for 2 days. I'd changed Emma's first diaper, given her her first bottle, signed the birth certificate without hesitation. If Sarah had any doubt about paternity, she'd hidden it perfectly for 14 years. I know she's lying, I said. I know it in my bones, but I can't prove it. Not yet. Grace pulled out her phone. Then we get you a lawyer who can. I stayed at Grace's house for 3 days before Emma finally answered my texts. 72 hours of calling and going straight to voicemail. Texts that showed read but got no response. I drove by the house twice and saw Emma's curtain move, so I knew she was alive, but she wouldn't come to the door. Then on Monday morning she texted, "I need space, please stop calling." Not, "Dad, I need space," just, "I need space." I stared at that message for 20 minutes. Grace found me in her guest room, sitting on the bed, phone in my hands. "She texted," I said. "That's good, that's progress." She asked me to stop calling. She didn't call me Dad. Grace sat next to me, put her arm around my shoulders. We sat like that for a long time. "I'm going to lose her," I said. "Sarah lied, and I'm going to lose my daughter." "No, you're not. We're going to fight this." "How do you fight a lie that people want to believe? Sarah's her mother. Of course, Emma's going to believe her mother. Emma's 14, not stupid. She's going to start questioning things. The story doesn't make sense. Sarah's good at making lies make sense. 18 months of book club that I believed completely." Grace was quiet. Then, "I found something." She pulled out her laptop, showed me a photo she dug up from Facebook, from 14 years ago when Emma was 3 weeks old. Sarah had posted it with the caption, "My girls and their daddy. Emma has Michael's eyes." The photo showed me holding newborn Emma, Sarah leaning against my shoulder, both of us exhausted and happy. Emma's face was barely visible, but her eyes were open, dark blue, just like mine. "She knew," Grace said. "She posted this. She called you Emma's daddy. She knew you were her father." I looked at the photo, at who we used to be, at the family we'd been before Sarah blew it all up. "Save it," I said, or "save everything." Grace was already downloading it. "I'm making a folder. Every photo, every post, every piece of evidence that Sarah knew Emma was yours." "And then what?" "Then we bury her in court." I found the card 3 days later. It was pink construction paper covered in crayon hearts. I was unpacking boxes in Grace's guest room, organizing my life into temporary storage, when I found the file box I'd labeled Emma's school stuff. Report cards, art projects, Mother's Day cards she'd made in elementary school, and there at the bottom, the birthday card from her 5th birthday. Construction paper, bright pink, faded to salmon after 9 years. Purple and red crayon hearts drawn all over the front. In green crayon, in the careful block letters of a kindergartner, "Best Daddy Ever." The D was backwards. I remembered that. I'd shown her how to write it correctly, but she'd insisted on keeping it backwards in this card. This one's special, Daddy. I like it wrong. I opened it, her writing inside even more careful. Dear Daddy, I love you 100 infinity. Love, Emma, age 5. She'd drawn a birthday cake with 5 candles and both of us holding hands, both smiling. The paper felt different than I remembered. Thinner, more fragile. Like if I held it too hard, it might crumble. I sat on the floor of Grace's guest room and cried for the first time since Sarah dropped the bomb. Not loud crying, not dramatic. Just quiet tears running down my face while I held a 9-year-old piece of construction paper and remembered when my daughter thought I was the best daddy ever. When she wrote Daddy with a backwards D because she wanted to make it special for me. Grace found me like that 20 minutes later. Oh, Michael, she said softly. She wrote Daddy, I said. My voice was rough. She drew us holding hands. Grace sat on the floor next to me, looked at the card, wiped her own eyes. We're going to fix this, she said. How? She won't even talk to me. We're going to get the DNA test. We're going to prove Sarah lied. And Emma's going to know the truth. What if knowing the truth isn't enough? What if she can't forgive me for whatever Sarah's telling her I did? You didn't do anything. You loved your daughter. You still love your daughter. That's not something you need to be forgiven for. I put the card carefully back in its box. Then I put the box in my laptop bag. I kept that card in my pocket for the next 3 months. The attorney's office was downtown, 11th floor, glass and chrome that felt nothing like the warm chaos of family life. Linda Foster had been recommended by Grace's divorce lawyer. 52 years old, sharp eyes, the kind of person who saw through bullshit instantly. She looked at my screenshots for 3 minutes without speaking, then she played the recording. All 18 minutes of it. When Sarah's voice came through the speakers, Michael isn't your real father. Linda's jaw tightened. This is admissible, she said. You were a party to the conversation. You're allowed to record it. Can we use it to get a DNA test? We can petition for court-ordered DNA testing, yes. The recording helps establish that there's a dispute about paternity. Sarah will fight it. Linda looked at me over her reading glasses. Mr. Carter, in my experience, innocent people don't fight DNA tests. If your wife is telling the truth about your daughter's paternity, she'd want the test to prove it. If she's lying, she'll fight it. Exactly. Linda pulled out a legal pad. I need to be honest with you. If the DNA test comes back showing you're not Emma's biological father, you could lose all parental rights. No custody, no visitation. You'd be a legal stranger to her. My chest tightened. And if it proves I am her father? Then we prove your wife committed parental alienation using a false claim. That's grounds for primary custody, potentially supervised visitation for her. I don't want to take Emma away from her mother. I just want the truth. The truth might take Emma away from her mother anyway. Sarah made a choice when she lied. She'll face consequences. Linda started writing. I'll file the divorce petition today. Request for court-ordered DNA testing. We'll push for an expedited hearing given the circumstances. How long? 2 weeks, maybe 3. Judge Henderson's docket is pretty full, but cases involving children get priority. 2 weeks. 14 days of Emma not calling me dad. 14 days of Sarah poisoning her against me. Linda saw my face. Mr. Carter, if you're right about this, and everything here suggests you are, she'll fight the test. Liars always do. I left the attorney's office and drove to nowhere for an hour. Just drove. Highways and side streets and subdivisions that all looked the same. When I finally parked in Grace's driveway, it was 4:30 p.m. School was out. Emma would be home by now. Doing homework at the kitchen table maybe, or in her room, door closed, headphones in, not calling me to tell me about her day. I sat in the car and listened to the recording again. I don't know why. Some kind of self-punishment, maybe. Hearing Sarah's voice, cold and calculated. Michael isn't your real father. Then I heard something I hadn't noticed the first dozen times. Background noise, very faint. The sound of another phone ringing. Sarah's phone, I realized. The one sitting on the kitchen counter. And then barely audible, Sarah's voice saying, "I need to take this." I'd stopped recording shortly after that, but I hadn't stopped the phone's voice recording app. It was still running. I scrolled forward in the recording, past the sound of me packing, past the sound of the door closing, to 2:47 a.m., when I'd finally turned off the phone to save battery. At 1:23 a.m., Sarah's voice came through. She must have made a call on speakerphone. "David, it's me." A man's voice, groggy. "Sarah, it's 1 a.m. Christine's asleep right next to me." He found out about us. Shit. What did you tell him? The truth. That we've been seeing each other. And he wants a divorce. He went through my phone, found all our messages. Okay, we knew this might happen. We'll figure it out. Then Sarah's voice changed, harder, strategic. I told Emma that Michael isn't her real father. Silence on the other end. Then, "You what?" I told her he's not her biological father, that I had an affair before she was born. "Sarah, is that true?" "Of course it's not true, but he doesn't know that. And if I can make Emma believe it, he'll be too busy proving paternity to focus on asset division." "Jesus Christ, Sarah. You're sure this'll keep him busy during the divorce?" I mean, if he thinks his kid might not be his, he's going to fight for a DNA test. That'll take weeks. But Sarah, that's pretty cold, using your kid like that. He's the one who went through my phone. He started this. I'm just finishing it. If you say so. I need to go. Call me tomorrow. The call ended. The recording continued. Quiet house sounds, the refrigerator humming, until I'd turned the phone off hours later. That's when I noticed my phone was still recording. It had captured everything. I sat in Grace's driveway, hands shaking, and listened to it 3 more times. Sarah knew. She knew Emma was mine, and she lied anyway, deliberately, as a divorce strategy. Then I heard David's voice. "You're sure this'll keep him busy during the divorce?" I took the phone inside. Grace was making dinner. Pasta, the smell of garlic and tomatoes filling the small kitchen. "Grace," I said, "listen to this." I played her the 1:23 a.m. portion of the recording, watched her face go from confused to horrified to absolutely furious. "She admitted it," Grace said. "She admitted she lied, on tape. David knows too. He's complicit. You need to send this to Linda right now. Right now, Michael." I did. Forwarded the audio file with a 1-sentence email. Found this on the recording. Sarah confesses the lie to her affair partner at 1:23 a.m. timestamp. Linda called back in 4 minutes. "Mr. Carter, this changes everything. This is direct evidence of fraud and parental alienation. With this, we can push for emergency custody. I don't want to scare Emma by having police show up or no police. But we can petition the judge to order Sarah to stop making false claims about paternity. We can get you temporary visitation while the DNA test is pending. Will Emma come if the judge orders it?" Linda was quiet. "She's 14. Judge won't force her to see you. But this recording shows Sarah is lying. That matters. Even if Emma doesn't see it yet, the court will." The subpoena came back 3 days later. Sarah's full phone records pulled directly from the carrier. 47 text messages between Sarah and David that she deleted from her phone but couldn't delete from Verizon's servers. Linda printed them all, handed me the stack like evidence in a murder trial. Message number 12, 3 weeks before Emma's birthday. "Michael's working late again. Meet me at 7. Message number 23, the day after Emma's school play. "Wish you could have been there instead of him." Emma asked why I was smiling so much. Message number 31, mid-January. Tax return came. Michael wants to put it toward Emma's college fund. So boring. And then message number 47 sent 2 days before I found Sarah's phone. Sarah, he's getting suspicious. Keeps asking about book club. I think he might check my phone. David, so what's the plan? Sarah, if he finds out and wants a divorce, I tell Emma he's not her real dad. Paternity dispute keeps him distracted. He'll spend all his energy on that instead of coming after the house. David, you're playing with fire. Sarah, I'm playing to win. I read that message 20 times, sitting in Linda's conference room, staring at the black text on white paper. I'm playing to win. My daughter was a pawn, a strategy, a move in a chess game I didn't know I was playing. Linda came back with coffee, saw my face. Are you okay? She planned it, the paternity lie. She planned it before I even found her phone. I know. I read them all. Linda sat down across from me. The judge is going to read them too. Judge Henderson doesn't take kindly to parents who weaponize their children. When's the hearing? Next Wednesday, 9 a.m. DNA testing petition and temporary custody arrangements. 5 days. 5 days. And Mr. Carter? Linda looked at me seriously. Sarah's going to know we have these texts. Her attorney will get copies tomorrow. She's going to panic. Good. Panicked people do unpredictable things. She might try to turn Emma against you even more. You need to be prepared for that. I thought about Emma, 14 years old, caught between a father she wasn't sure about and a mother who was lying to her for money and real estate. I'm already prepared, I said. I've been preparing since the moment she stopped calling me Dad. The call came from Emma's school counselor on Tuesday morning, Mrs. Patterson. I'd met her once at back-to-school night. Kind eyes, the kind of person who actually listened to teenagers instead of just waiting for them to stop talking. Mr. Carter, I hope it's all right that I'm calling. Emma listed you as an emergency contact. My heart jumped. Is she okay? Is she hurt? She's not hurt, but I'm concerned. She's been having some emotional difficulties this week because of the divorce. Yes, and Mr. Carter, I need to tread carefully here because of confidentiality, but Emma came to my office yesterday and asked me a question that worried me. I waited. She asked me if it's possible to stop looking like your dad if he's not your real dad. My chest hurt. Actually hurt, like someone had reached in and squeezed. What did you tell her? I asked her why she was asking. She said her mom told her something about her dad that didn't make sense, that she's been looking at photos of herself and her father, you, and trying to see if she looks like you or if she just thinks she does because she wants to. Can you tell her? I stopped. No, you can't. Confidentiality. I can't tell her what to believe. But Mr. Carter, I've been a school counselor for 17 years. I've seen a lot of kids caught in the middle of ugly divorces. And something about this situation feels wrong to me. Her mother is lying about the paternity. We're getting a court-ordered DNA test next week. Mrs. Patterson was quiet. Then, I thought it might be something like that. She showed you something? Emma? She keeps a journal for my office. I encourage students to write down their feelings if they don't want to talk. Emma's been writing every day since... She paused. I can't share what she wrote, but I can tell you that she's confused. Deeply confused. Because the story her mother told her doesn't match what she remembers. What does she remember? She remembers you, Mr. Carter. She remembers you teaching her to ride a bike, reading to her every night, making her pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse. She remembers calling you Dad her whole life and you answering every time. I closed my eyes, saw Emma at 6 years old, training wheels finally off, wobbling down the sidewalk while I ran alongside her. You got it, Emma. You got it. Is there any chance your wife is lying? Mrs. Patterson asked carefully. I know she's lying, but Emma believes her, and I can't prove it until the DNA test comes back. For what it's worth, I believe you. And I think deep down, Emma believes you too. She's just scared. Of what? Of choosing wrong, of losing one parent to save another, of finding out that everything she thought she knew about herself is wrong. Mrs. Patterson sighed. These situations are impossible for children. They're not supposed to have to doubt their own existence. I swallowed hard. Can you tell me what she wrote? Just one thing. Please. Mrs. Patterson was quiet for a long time. She wrote, I miss my dad, but Mom says he lied my whole life. Do I have his eyes because I wanted to look like him, or because lies can look real? I had to sit down, just sat right there on Grace's kitchen floor, phone pressed to my ear, and tried not to cry. Mr. Carter, I'm here. Get that DNA test. Prove to her that truth matters. That's what she needs right now. Proof that someone in this situation is telling the truth. Thank you for calling. Thank you for believing me. I'm not supposed to take sides, but I've met a lot of parents, Mr. Carter. The ones who fight this hard for their kids, they're usually fighting for a reason. She hung up. I sat on the floor for 20 minutes. Have you ever had to choose between defending yourself and protecting your child's relationship with their other parent? It's impossible. If I told Emma that her mother was lying, I'm the bad guy trying to turn her against her mom. If I stayed silent, Sarah's lie became truth by default. There was no good choice, just damage control. Grace found me on the floor, didn't ask questions, just sat next to me and waited until I could talk. Emma's asking if she looks like me, I finally said, if her eyes are mine or if she just thinks they are. Oh, Michael. She thinks maybe she wanted to look like me so badly that she made herself believe she does, like a kid believing in Santa Claus. She's 14. She's smart enough to see through Sarah's lies. Is she? I believed Sarah for 18 months. Every Thursday night, I believed her. That's different. How? Grace didn't have an answer for that. I found Sarah's old journal in our storage unit on Thursday. I'd rented the unit 3 years ago when we'd cleaned out the garage. All the boxes we'd meant to go through eventually ended up there. Baby clothes, old textbooks, photo albums from before phones had cameras, and journals. Sarah used to keep journals, not diaries. She said those were for teenagers, but journals. Leather-bound, expensive, full of her thoughts about work and marriage and motherhood. She'd stopped around the time Emma started middle school, said she didn't have time anymore. I found 3 of them in a box labeled Sarah's Personal. I almost didn't open it, felt like a violation even though we were getting divorced. But something made me look. The 3rd journal had 2011 embossed in gold on the cover, Emma's birth year. I sat in the storage unit, concrete floor cold through my jeans, and opened to the first entry. January 3rd, 2011. New year, new decade, found out I'm pregnant yesterday. Michael doesn't know yet. I'm terrified and excited and so scared we're not ready. I flipped forward. Entries about morning sickness, about telling Michael and watching him cry happy tears, about picking out names. April 2011. 5 months now. Michael talks to my belly every night, tells her stories. I caught him reading a pregnancy book at 2 a.m. He's going to be such a good dad. And then May 15th, 2011, Emma's birthday. The entry was long. Sarah's handwriting, usually neat, was shaky. Written in the hospital, I realized, while Emma slept in the bassinet next to her bed. 3:47 a.m. She's here. Emma Grace Carter. 7 lbs, 3 ahs. 22 hours of labor, and I thought I was going to die, but then they put her in my arms and nothing else mattered. Michael cried when he held her. Actually cried. Real tears running down his face. He kept saying, "She's perfect," over and over like a prayer. She has his eyes. That same dark blue like the ocean before a storm. And his stubborn little chin. I can already tell she's going to be just like him. Determined, loyal. I'll never tell him how close I came to leaving last year. That fight we had about his hours, about feeling alone. I'd actually looked at apartments, called a divorce lawyer. But watching him hold Emma, seeing him look at her like she's made of starlight, I know I made the right choice staying. He deserves to be this happy. We both do. He's going to be the kind of dad I wished I had. The kind who shows up, who loves openly, who never makes his kid wonder if she's enough. I'm so tired. Emma's sleeping. Michael's sleeping in the chair next to me, one hand on her bassinet. His wedding ring catches the hospital lights. We're a family now. Really, truly. Everything else, the fights, the fear, the doubt, none of it matters anymore. 2 weeks later, another entry. May 29th, 2011. Michael hasn't slept more than 4 hours in 12 days. He gets up every time Emma cries, changes her, rocks her, sings to her even though he can't carry a tune. Last night I found him in the nursery at 3 a.m. just watching her sleep. He looked up at me and whispered, "I can't believe she's ours." He's going to be such a good dad. She's so lucky. The journal entry was dated May 15th, the day Emma was born. I read it 5 times. Then I took photos of every page with my phone, sent them to Grace. She called immediately. Michael, she knew. She wrote it down. She knew Emma was yours. She talked about my eyes, Emma having my eyes. She wrote it on the day Emma was born. This destroys any claim that she was uncertain about paternity. She knew from day one. She almost left me that year. Before Emma was born, she looked at apartments. But she stayed, and she wrote about you being a good father, about Emma being lucky to have you. I looked at the journal in my hands. Brown leather, worn soft at the edges. Sarah's handwriting filling page after page. Evidence of a woman who'd loved her husband, loved her daughter, and known exactly who belonged to whom. She knew, I said. My voice was flat. She always knew, and she lied anyway. Grace was crying on the other end of the phone. Bring that journal to Linda, today, right now. I drove straight to Linda's office, handed her the journal open to May 15th. She read it, then looked up at me with something like awe. Mr. Carter, this is the single most damaging piece of evidence I've ever seen in a custody case. Sarah wrote, in her own hand, that Emma has your eyes. On the day of birth. There's no way she can claim uncertainty. Can we use it in court? Oh, we're not just using it. We're entering it as Exhibit F and watching Sarah's whole case collapse. Linda took photos of the pages. The hearing's in 6 days. Sarah's attorney is going to lose his mind when he sees this. Good. Linda looked at me carefully. You know what this means, right? We're not just proving you're Emma's father. We're proving Sarah is a malicious liar who weaponized your child for financial gain. The judge is going to be displeased. Sarah made her choice. She'll face the consequences. Yes, she will. Emma's 8th grade spring concert was Thursday night. I found out from the school's email newsletter. Join us for our annual spring showcase, 7 p.m. in the auditorium. Emma played violin, 3rd chair in the orchestra. She'd been playing since 4th grade. I hadn't missed a concert in 4 years. I asked Grace if she'd come with me. Moral support. Someone to keep me from doing something stupid if I saw Sarah. We got there 20 minutes early. The parking lot was already full. Parents with cameras, siblings complaining about being dragged along, teachers setting up refreshments in the lobby. I saw Sarah's car. Same spot she always parked in, 3rd row from the school. We found seats in the back. I didn't want Emma to see me and get distracted. Just wanted to watch her play. The orchestra came out at 7:15. Emma was in the 3rd row, violin case in hand, wearing the black dress we'd bought together last fall for concerts. She looked nervous, kept adjusting her music stand. They played 3 pieces, some Mozart, a Beatles medley. A modern piece I didn't recognize. Emma played beautifully. I'd always loved watching her play, the way her whole body moved with the music, the concentration on her face. When it was over, everyone applauded. Parents started gathering in the lobby for cookies and the Meet the Teachers social hour. I should have left. I'd seen Emma play. That should have been enough, but Grace saw Sarah first, saw her standing with a group of other parents laughing about something, and Grace's face went hard. "Michael, I'll be right back." "Grace, don't..." But she was already walking over. I followed because leaving Grace alone with Sarah seemed like a bad idea. Sarah saw us coming. Her smile faltered. "Grace, Michael." Tight, professional, like we were acquaintances, not family. "Sarah." Grace wasn't smiling. "Emma played beautifully tonight." "She did. She's been practicing so hard." "Must be difficult, practicing at home while lying to her about her father." The other parents went quiet. This was a private conversation suddenly happening in public. "I'm not doing this here," Sarah said. "No? Because you seemed comfortable doing it in our kitchen in front of Emma, telling her Michael wasn't her father." "Grace, you don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" Grace pulled out her phone, held up the photo of Sarah's journal entry from Emma's birth. "Is this your handwriting, Sarah?" Sarah's face went white, actually drained of color. "Where did you get that?" "From your journal, the one where you wrote about Emma having Michael's eyes, on the day she was born, May 15th, 2011, remember?" The other parents were definitely listening now, phones away, attention focused. "That's private, so is paternity, but you made it public when you lied to Emma." Grace held up something else, the hospital bracelet. Michael must have given it to her. "This has Emma's footprint and Michael's signature from the delivery room. Michael Carter, father. You were there, Sarah. You watched him sign it. You knew he was her father." Sarah looked around, saw the other parents watching, saw their judgment. "You had no right to go through my personal belongings. You had no right to tell our daughter that her father wasn't her father." Emma's voice came from behind us, small, shaking. "Mom?" We all turned. Emma stood 10 feet away, still holding her violin case. She'd seen everything, heard everything. Sarah's face went white. Then she saw Emma watching from the hallway. "Emma, honey, we can talk about this at home." "You wrote that I have Dad's eyes?" Sarah opened her mouth, closed it. No good answer. "You wrote it in your journal, on the day I was born, that I look like Dad." "Sweetheart, I was exhausted. I'd just given birth. I wasn't..." "So you lied then, or you're lying now? Which is it?" The hallway was silent. Parents, teachers, a janitor who'd stopped mopping to watch. Sarah reached for Emma. Emma stepped back. "Don't! Just don't!" Emma looked at me, really looked at me. For the first time in 3 weeks, she looked at me like she was seeing me instead of Sarah's lies. "I'm getting a DNA test," I said quietly. "Next week, court ordered, so we'll know the truth. And if it says you're not my dad, then I'll accept it. But Emma, I am your dad. I've been your dad since May 15th, 2011 at 3:47 a.m. Nothing will ever change that." Emma's eyes filled with tears. She turned and walked away. Not toward Sarah, not toward me, just away. Sarah looked at Grace with pure hatred. "You had no right." "Someone needed to tell Emma the truth. You clearly weren't going to." Sarah turned and walked after Emma, left her parent friends standing in the lobby, whispering to each other. Grace and I walked to the parking lot. I felt numb, hollowed out. "I'm sorry," Grace said. "I shouldn't have confronted her there, but I saw her laughing, acting like everything was fine, and I just... No. You did the right thing. Emma needed to hear it." She looked so hurt. She's been hurt for 3 weeks. At least now she's hurt by the truth instead of Sarah's lies. We drove back to Grace's house in silence. That night, lying in the guest room, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Mrs. Patterson, Emma's counselor. Emma came to my office after the concert. She asked me if you really signed her hospital bracelet. I told her I didn't know, but that she could ask to see the original birth certificate at the hospital. She's thinking about it. I thought you'd want to know." I stared at that message until my eyes burned. Emma was questioning Sarah's story. Finally. Actually questioning it. I texted back, "Thank you." Then I pulled out the pink construction paper card from my pocket, read it for the 100th time. "Best daddy ever. Love, Emma, age 5. In 6 days, we'd have the DNA test. In 6 days, we'd prove who was lying. I just had to hope it wasn't too late. The DNA test collection happened in a sterile medical office on a Tuesday morning. Room 3B, white walls, posters about hand washing. A lab technician named Carol who'd done this 1,000 times and had the efficiency of someone who'd seen every family crisis imaginable. Emma came with Sarah. I came with Grace. We sat on opposite sides of the waiting room like opposing legal teams. Emma stared at her phone. Sarah stared at the wall. I stared at the hospital bracelet I brought with me, tucked in my shirt pocket next to Emma's birthday card. "Carter family?" Carol called. We all stood, followed her into the collection room. "This is simple," Carol said, pulling out 3 sealed test kits. "Cheek swab for each of you. I'll collect the samples, seal them, send them to the lab. Results in 2 weeks." 2 weeks? Emma's voice was small. "Sometimes sooner, but we tell people 2 weeks to be safe." Carol started with me. "Unwrap the swab. Open wide. I'm going to rub this against the inside of your cheek for 30 seconds. I opened my mouth, let her swab, tasted cotton and sterile packaging. She sealed my swab in a tube labeled "Alleged Father, Michael Carter." Alleged. Like I was on trial for being Emma's dad. "Emma, you're next." Emma sat in the chair, opened her mouth. Carol swabbed, sealed the tube. "Child Emma Grace Carter." Then Sarah. I watched Sarah's hands. They were shaking, just slightly, trembling as she gripped the arms of the chair. Carol noticed too, made a note on her paperwork. "All done," Carol said. "You'll receive results by mail and email simultaneously. Court-ordered tests also go directly to the judge and both attorneys." "How accurate is it?" Emma asked. "DNA paternity testing is 99.99% accurate when the alleged father is the biological father. If he's not, it's 100% accurate. Complete exclusion." "So we'll know for sure." "You'll know for sure." We left separately. Sarah and Emma through the front, Grace and I through the side exit. In the car, Grace said, "Did you see Sarah's hands?" "Shaking." She knows the test is going to prove she lied. Knowing and admitting are different things. The lab tech said results take 2 weeks. I didn't sleep for 14 days. The hearing was scheduled for Wednesday, April 12th at 9 a.m. Courtroom 4C, Judge Patricia Henderson presiding. I wore my only suit, navy blue, the one I'd worn to job interviews and funerals. Grace had ironed it for me that morning, wouldn't let me leave the house until my tie was straight. Linda met us outside the courtroom at 8:45. "The DNA results came to my office yesterday," she said. "Sealed envelope from Gene Tech Laboratories. I haven't opened it." My stomach dropped. "You haven't?" "Court rules. When results are court-ordered for a custody hearing, they're opened in front of the judge. Both parties present. Ensures no tampering." "So we wait." "We wait. But Michael..." Linda lowered her voice. "Sarah's attorney tried to get the hearing postponed 3 times. Once for a scheduling conflict. Once claiming Sarah was ill. Once arguing they needed more time to prepare." The judge said no. Judge Henderson said no 3 times. She knows what postponement requests mean in paternity cases. Grace gripped my hand. "It means Sarah's scared." We went inside. The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined. Wood paneling, the seal of the state on the wall, rows of benches like church pews. Sarah sat on the left side with her attorney, a thin man named Robert Chen, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Emma sat next to Sarah, wearing a blue dress I'd never seen before. She looked tiny in the big courtroom. I sat on the right side with Linda and Grace. Emma looked over once. Our eyes met. She looked away. "All rise." the Honorable Judge Patricia Henderson presiding. We stood. Judge Henderson entered. 62 years old, silver hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She'd been a family court judge for 20 years. Linda said she had a reputation for not tolerating lies. Please be seated. Case number 2024 FAM 8871, Carter v. Carter. Petition for DNA testing and temporary custody arrangements. Judge Henderson looked at both tables. Counselors, we're here because there's a dispute about paternity. Is that correct? Linda stood. Yes, Your Honor. My client, Michael Carter, is contesting claims made by his wife that he is not the biological father of their daughter, Emma Carter, age 14. And Mrs. Carter's position? Sarah's attorney stood slowly. Your Honor, Mrs. Carter has questions about paternity based on events from 15 years ago. Questions, I see. Judge Henderson pulled out a file. I've reviewed the submitted evidence. Text messages between Mrs. Carter and her affair partner discussing the use of false paternity claims, a recorded conversation where Mrs. Carter admits to lying, and a journal entry from the day of Emma's birth where Mrs. Carter describes the child having her husband's eyes. Mr. Chen, help me understand your client's questions. Chen looked at Sarah. Sarah stared at the table. Your Honor, the journal entry was written under duress, immediately post-birth, and may not reflect accurate. Mr. Chen, I've given birth. Twice. I was exhausted, in pain, and heavily medicated. You know what I didn't do. Write fictional accounts of my children's appearance. When you write that a baby has their father's eyes, it's because you looked at the baby and saw their father's eyes. Your Honor. Save it. We have DNA results. GeneTech Laboratories sent them to my chambers yesterday. She held up a sealed envelope. We're going to open them now. All parties remain seated. My heart was trying to escape through my ribs. Actual physical pain in my chest. Judge Henderson broke the seal. The sound, the sharp rip of paper being torn, was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. She unfolded the results page. Read silently. Emma's hand found Sarah's. They were holding hands. Mother and daughter united against me, or maybe just scared, both of them scared of what came next. Judge Henderson looked up, looked at me over her reading glasses. Mr. Carter, would you stand, please? I stood, legs shaking. The results from GeneTech Laboratories are as follows. She read from the paper. Clinical, precise, each word a nail in someone's coffin. DNA paternity test results. Case number 2024 FAM 8871. Tested loci 23. Exclusions 0. Combined paternity index 947,000 unwizenolers to 1. Probability of paternity. She paused. The whole courtroom held its breath. 99.99%. Mr. Carter, you are the biological father of Emma Grace Carter. The courtroom erupted. Not loud. This wasn't TV, but movement. Grace grabbed my hand. Linda exhaled. Sarah's attorney put his head in his hands. Sarah made a sound, half gasp, half sob. Emma turned to look at her mother. Mom? Mrs. Carter, Judge Henderson said. Her voice was ice. Stand up. Sarah stood. She was crying, mascara running down her face. You told your 14-year-old daughter that her father, a man who by all accounts has been an exemplary parent, was not her biological father. You did this knowing it was a lie. You did this, according to evidence submitted to this court, as a strategic move in your divorce proceedings. Do you have anything to say? Sarah's attorney tried to speak. Judge Henderson held up a hand. I'm asking Mrs. Carter. Sarah looked at Emma, at me, at the judge. I just wanted him to hurt, she whispered, the way I was hurting. I wanted him to lose something he could never get back. So you chose your daughter. You weaponized your child. The word hung in the air. Weaponized. It wasn't supposed to... I didn't think he'd... Sarah was sobbing now, full breakdown. I was angry. I was so angry and I wanted him to feel what I felt, and I thought the divorce would be over before it got this far, before we actually had to do the test. You thought you'd scare him, make him back off on asset division by threatening his relationship with his daughter. Yes, barely audible. Mrs. Carter, I've been a family court judge for 20 years. I've seen parents do terrible things to each other, but weaponizing a child's sense of identity, telling her that her father isn't her father, destroying her ability to trust her own memories, that's among the cruelest things I've witnessed. Sarah crumpled, just collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Emma was staring at her mother like she'd never seen her before. You lied. You looked at me and you lied. Emma, I'm so sorry. You made me think. Emma's voice broke. I spent 3 weeks thinking I wasn't who I thought I was. Thinking Dad wasn't Dad. Looking at pictures, trying to see if I looked like him or if I just wanted to look like him. And you knew. The whole time you knew. Baby, I'm so sorry. I love you. You used me to hurt Dad. You used me. Judge Henderson let them have that moment. Then, we need to discuss custody arrangements. The rest of the hearing took 40 minutes. Linda presented everything: the text messages, the recording, the journal, Sarah's premeditated plan to use false paternity as a divorce tactic. Judge Henderson's face got harder with each piece of evidence. Custody recommendation, she said finally. Primary physical custody to Mr. Carter. Mrs. Carter will have supervised visitation 1 afternoon per week pending completion of co-parenting counseling and psychological evaluation. Your Honor, that's extreme, Sarah's attorney tried. Extreme? Mr. Chen, your client psychologically abused her daughter for financial gain. She's lucky I'm granting any visitation at all. If I see any evidence that Mrs. Carter continues to make false claims about paternity, continues to manipulate Emma, or interferes with Mr. Carter's custody time, we'll revisit this arrangement. And it won't be in your client's favor. Sarah was still crying, but quieter now, defeated. Furthermore, I'm ordering Mrs. Carter to attend mandatory counseling, not couples counseling, individual therapy to address why she thought weaponizing her child was acceptable behavior. And Mr. Chen, you'll inform your client that if I hear she's bad-mouthing Mr. Carter to Emma, to friends, to family, or on social media, we'll be back here discussing contempt charges. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Carter, you and Emma will also have access to family counseling if you choose. The court will cover costs. Thank you, Your Honor. We're adjourned. I'll have formal custody orders drawn up by end of week. Judge Henderson looked at Emma. Her voice softened. Emma, what your mother did was wrong. Not wrong like forgetting to pick you up from practice wrong. Wrong like breaking something fundamental in you wrong. You're going to need time to process this. That's okay. Take the time. Talk to someone. And know that what happened here, the lie, the manipulation, that wasn't about you. That was about your mother's anger and your father's love. You didn't do anything wrong. Emma nodded. Couldn't speak. We filed out. Different doors. Sarah and her attorney through the left. Emma hesitated, then followed her mother. Grace hugged me in the hallway. Linda shook my hand. You won, Linda said. Did I? Legally, yes. Morally, absolutely. But Michael, Emma's going to need time. What Sarah did, that kind of betrayal, doesn't heal overnight. I know. Give her space. Let her come to you. She will. I hoped Linda was right. The consequences for Sarah weren't just legal. Her parents, Emma's grandparents, Martha and Robert Peterson, called me 2 days after the hearing, asked if they could take me to lunch. We met at a cafe downtown. They looked older than I remembered. Martha's hands shook when she picked up her coffee cup. We heard what happened in court, Robert said, from Emma. She called us crying. I'm sorry she had to go through that. Don't apologize. You didn't do this. Martha's voice was sharp. Our daughter did, and Michael, we're disgusted, absolutely disgusted. I didn't know what to say. We called Sarah, Robert continued. Told her what we thought of what she did. She tried to explain, tried to justify it, and we told her we didn't want to hear it. You don't have to. We do. We have to take a side here, and we're taking yours. And Emma's. You're a good father, Michael. You've always been a good father. And what Sarah did to you, to Emma, there's no excuse. Martha pulled out an envelope. This is for Emma, for her college fund. We know with the divorce and everything, we want to make sure she's taken care of. You don't have to do that. We want to. And Michael, we want to stay in Emma's life. We know we're Sarah's parents, but we're Emma's grandparents too. We love that girl. We don't want to lose her because of what her mother did. You won't. You're her grandparents. That doesn't change. Martha started crying. Sarah called us traitors. Said we were choosing you over our own daughter. We told her she made her choice when she lied to Emma, Robert said quietly. Now she has to live with it. They weren't the only ones who cut Sarah off. David's wife Christine showed up at the courthouse on Friday. I was there filing paperwork for the custody arrangement when I saw her in the hallway. She recognized me from the company Christmas party. Mr. Carter, Mrs. Evans. I wanted to tell you I'm sorry for what my husband and your wife did. I found out about the affair 3 weeks ago, filed for divorce last Monday. She held up a manila envelope. I'm here to serve David. He works in the building across the street. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You didn't do anything, they did. Christine looked tired. I read the court transcripts about Sarah lying to Emma, about David encouraging it. I have 3 kids, Mr. Carter. If David ever did something like that, used our kids as weapons, I'd never forgive him. I'm sorry your family is going through this. So am I. But I want you to know, I told David's boss about the affair, about the manipulation. David's being moved to a different district, away from Sarah. The company doesn't want the liability. I hadn't known that. And I told Sarah's boss, too. She's an assistant principal, right? At Lincoln Middle School? Yes. I sent the court documents to the school board with a letter from me explaining that Sarah used her own daughter as a pawn in divorce proceedings. I copied every parent on the PTA mailing list. My eyes widened. You didn't have to... Yes, I did. Sarah works with children. She's in a position of authority over other people's kids. They deserve to know what she's capable of. 3 days later, I heard through Linda that Sarah had been placed on administrative leave. The school board was conducting an investigation. Parents had submitted a petition, over 200 signatures, asking for her removal. Sarah was losing everything: her marriage, her daughter, her parents, her job, her reputation. Part of me felt vindicated. She'd tried to destroy my relationship with Emma, and now her whole life was collapsing. But part of me, the part that had loved her for 15 years, just felt sad. Emma was waiting outside the courtroom when I came out after filing the final custody paperwork, just sitting on a bench in the hallway, alone, phone in her hands but not looking at it. Emma? She looked up. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. I waited for you, she said. Mom dropped me off for her supervised visit next week, and I told her I wanted to wait for you instead. My heart stopped. Okay. Can we talk? Of course. Always. We found an empty conference room down the hall, sat across from each other at a big table meant for depositions and legal meetings. Emma wouldn't look at me, kept staring at her hands. I'm sorry, she finally said. I'm so sorry, Dad. The word Dad broke something in me. Emma, you don't have to... I believed her. When she said you weren't my real dad, I believed her. And I shouldn't have. I should have known she was lying. I should have trusted you. You were protecting yourself. That's what kids are supposed to do when their parents are fighting. But I stopped calling you Dad. For 3 weeks, I wouldn't even talk to you, and you were calling and texting, and I just ignored you, and She was crying now, hard. You kept trying and I shut you out and I'm so sorry. I came around the table, knelt next to her chair. Emma, look at me. She did, those dark blue eyes, my eyes. You didn't do anything wrong. Your mom told you something impossible and terrifying, and you tried to process it the only way you knew how. You were confused and scared and 14 years old. You're allowed to be all of those things. But I hurt you. Your mom hurt me. You were just trying to survive it. Emma threw her arms around my neck, hugged me like she used to when she was little, before she got too cool for dad hugs. I missed you, she whispered. I missed you so much. I missed you too, sweetheart. Do you still have that pink card? The birthday one I made when I was 5? I pulled back, reached into my shirt pocket, pulled out the construction paper card, worn soft from being carried everywhere for 3 months. Emma took it, unfolded it carefully, read her own 5-year-old handwriting. I wrote Daddy with a backwards D. You said you wanted to keep it wrong because it made the card special. I remember that. I remember you teaching me to write it right and me saying, no, this one's special. She touched the crayon hearts. I meant it. Best daddy ever. I still mean it. Even after everything? Especially after everything. Mom lied to me and you kept calling, kept texting, kept showing up even when I wouldn't see you. You fought for me. Even when I believed her lies, you fought for me. I pulled out the hospital bracelet, the one I'd shown her that terrible night in the kitchen. I've kept this for 14 years, in my wallet, every day, right next to your school picture. Emma took it, looked at the faded pink plastic, her tiny footprint. Can I keep it? She asked. I know it's yours, but it's yours. It always was. She held the bracelet like it was made of glass. I want to wear it, like on a chain, so I don't forget. Forget what? Who I am, where I came from. That blood doesn't lie. She looked at me. That's what you said that night. When Mom first lied, you said, blood doesn't lie, sweetheart. I remember. You were right. The DNA test proved it. You are my dad. Biology, science, every single one of those tested loci, that's what the judge said, right? Proved it. 23 tested loci, 0 exclusions. 0 exclusions, Emma repeated. 0 chances you're not my dad. We sat in that conference room for another 20 minutes, just talking about school, about music, about the 3 weeks we'd lost and how we'd get them back. When we finally left, Emma took my hand in the hallway, 14 years old and holding her dad's hand in public where her friends might see. Can we go get ice cream? She asked. Right now? Right now. I want mint chocolate chip and I want to tell you about the stupid drama in my English class and I want to pretend the last 3 weeks didn't happen. We should probably talk about them eventually. Process everything. Eventually, but not today. Today, I just want ice cream with my dad. So we got ice cream. 6 months later, father-daughter dance at Emma's school. I hadn't planned to go. Seemed like the kind of thing that would be awkward after everything. But Emma had insisted. Bought a new dress. Made me promise to actually dance with her, not just stand by the punch bowl like I usually did. The gym was decorated in silver and blue. A DJ played music that was too loud and too modern for me to recognize. Emma looked beautiful in her dress. Navy blue, age appropriate, her choice. She'd let her hair grow long again. It fell past her shoulders now. We danced to 3 songs. Slow ones where I tried not to step on her feet, and she laughed when I did anyway. During the 4th song, some ballad I didn't know, Emma touched the chain around her neck. The hospital bracelet hung there. She'd had it professionally preserved, sealed in clear resin so it wouldn't degrade. Wore it every day. I told my friends about the bracelet, she said, about what it means. What did they say? That it's weird to wear a hospital bracelet from when you were born, but also that it's kind of cool. that I know exactly where I came from and who I belong to. You belong to yourself, Emma. You're your own person. I know, but I'm also yours, and that matters. It means something that you chose me every single day for 14 years. Even before you knew Mom was lying, even when you thought there might be a chance I wasn't yours, you chose me. You're not hard to choose. Mom could have chosen different. She could have told the truth from the start. She could have admitted it when you asked. She could have protected me instead of using me. Emma's voice was steady, not angry, just factual. She chose wrong every time, and you chose right. I didn't know what to say to that. I still see her, Emma continued. Once a week, supervised visits. She cries a lot, apologizes, says she'll never forgive herself. Do you think you'll forgive her? Maybe, someday, but not yet. Maybe not for a long time. She looked up at me. Is that okay? Am I supposed to forgive her because she's my mom? You're supposed to feel however you feel. There's no timeline for forgiving someone who hurt you that badly. She lost her job. Did you know that? I heard. And Grandma and Grandpa won't talk to her, and she's living in a tiny apartment by herself, and everyone knows what she did. Emma was quiet for a moment. Part of me feels bad for her, but a bigger part of me thinks she deserves it. That's fair. Does that make me a bad person? No, it makes you human. The song ended. Another one started. Something faster. Emma pulled back. I should go dance with my friends. They've been texting me asking when you'll stop monopolizing my time. Tell them I'm your dad. I'm allowed to monopolize your time. She laughed, hugged me. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. She ran off to join her friends. I watched her go. Watched her laugh with them, dance with them, be 14 and normal and okay. Grace found me by the punch bowl. You look happy, she said. I am happy. For the first time in 6 months, I'm actually happy. Emma looks good. She's healing. She is, slowly, but she is. Grace looked across the gym. Through the window, we could see into the parking lot. A car sat in the far corner, engine running, someone inside. Is that Sarah? Grace asked quietly. I looked, recognized the car. Yeah. She's watching. I know. Sarah sat in her car for another 20 minutes, just watching through the gym windows, watching Emma dance, watching me stand with Grace, watching the life she destroyed for herself. Then she drove away. I didn't tell Emma some things she didn't need to carry. That night, Emma and I stopped for late-night breakfast at the diner near Grace's house. Emma got waffles. I got coffee and eggs. This was fun, Emma said. The dance. I wasn't sure it would be, but it was. I'm glad you made me go. You would have skipped it if I hadn't. Probably. She took a bite of waffle, chewed thoughtfully. Dad. Yeah? Do you think Mom ever really loved us, me and you? The question hung in the air between us. I think she loved us the best way she knew how. And when things got hard, when she got scared or angry, she made choices that hurt us. But that doesn't mean the love wasn't real at some point. But she weaponized me. That's what the judge said. She weaponized her own daughter. She did, and that was wrong. Unforgivable, maybe. But Emma, people are complicated. Your mom isn't a cartoon villain. She's a person who made terrible, cruel choices. But she's still a person. Emma was quiet for a long time then. I used to think family was about blood. That's what everyone always says, right? Blood is thicker than water. But blood didn't keep Mom from lying, and blood didn't make her tell the truth. Blood is just biology. What do you think family is about then? She touched the bracelet again. Showing up. Choosing someone even when it's hard. Loving them even when they don't make it easy. She looked at me. You did that. When I wouldn't talk to you, when I believed Mom, when I was awful to you, you kept showing up. That's what fathers do. That's what good fathers do, not all fathers, not everyone's father. She smiled, sad but real. I'm lucky. I got a good one. My throat was tight. I'm the lucky one. We finished breakfast, drove home to Grace's house, the house that had been temporary 6 months ago but was starting to feel permanent. Emma ran upstairs to change. I stayed in the kitchen with Grace. She's going to be okay, Grace said. Both of you are. Yeah, we are. Sarah called me yesterday. I looked up. She did? Asked if I thought Emma would ever forgive her. If you would. What did you tell her? I told her I didn't know, that she broke something fundamental and there's no instruction manual for how to fix that, and that maybe some things can't be fixed. Maybe some things just stay broken. Do you believe that? Grace thought about it. I believe Sarah broke Emma's trust, and that's going to take years to rebuild, if it ever gets rebuilt at all. But I also believe that Emma's going to be okay because she has you, she has me, she has people who choose her every single day. Emma came downstairs in her pajamas, the hospital bracelet still around her neck. Dad, she said, can we go get ice cream? I laughed. We just had waffles. So, I want ice cream. I want mint chocolate chip, and I want to sit in the car in the Dairy Queen parking lot and eat it while we listen to bad music on the radio. It's 11 p.m. Are you saying no to ice cream with your daughter? After the court literally proved I'm your daughter. That seems like bad parenting. Grace laughed. She's got you there. So we went to Dairy Queen, got 2 mint chocolate chip cones, sat in the car, in the parking lot with the radio playing songs we didn't know the words to. Emma took a bite of ice cream, looked at the bracelet around her neck. Blood doesn't lie, she said softly. No, it doesn't. But love doesn't need to. I looked at her. My daughter, dark blue eyes, stubborn chin. Determination I recognized because I saw it in the mirror every morning. What do you mean? She smiled. I mean, I'm your daughter because of biology. The DNA proved it. 23 tested loci, 0 exclusions. Probability 99.99%. But that's not why I'm your daughter. No? No. I'm your daughter because you chose me. Every day. For 14 years. Before the DNA test and after it. When I was easy to love and when I wasn't. Biology made me yours legally. But love made me yours, actually. She took another bite of ice cream, turned up the radio, sang along to a song she definitely didn't know all the words to. I watched her, this girl who was mine in every way that mattered, this girl who I'd almost lost to someone else's lies. And I thought about Sarah in her car outside the dance, watching through windows at a life she'd destroyed for herself, alone with the consequences of weaponizing the one person she should have protected. I didn't feel vindicated anymore. I just felt grateful. Grateful for Emma's laugh, for Grace's support, for a judge who saw through lies, for a DNA test that proved what I'd always known. Grateful for second chances, for healing, for late night ice cream in parking lots. Emma touched the bracelet at her throat. Dad, she said, yeah? Can we go get ice cream? I smiled. We're literally eating ice cream right now. I meant tomorrow, after school. Can we make it a thing like our thing, Ice Cream Thursdays? I'd like that. Me too. Blood doesn't lie, but love doesn't need to.